Hello everybody and welcome to Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Mickey here. So what am I covering today? Right, first part of a video. So I'm doing a series of videos. This first part of this is cook sets, or first part one of cook sets, and one of my favoured systems, which is the Gasifier Stove. Okay, so cook sets break down for me into several different categories. Gas, which is a great emergency system, the sort of thing I carry in the car as a backup, or if I'm going to go into standalone situations, i.e. somewhere there's no resources, I don't want to be carrying a huge amount of weight, that might be the method I go. Gasifier stoves are a system that I use in the wilds. It's a way of having a safe, controlled fire. It's also a good backup from home when your gas cooker or your system packs up, because my favourite way of running these is on wood pellet. Well, wood pellet is cheap, it's affordable, it's clean, it's easy to carry, it's always dry, it's ready to go, and more importantly, it gives me a controlled burn. Excuse me. So if I'm using twigs, which you can use on these systems and work absolutely superb, you can't guarantee the heat level you're going to get. If you've got softwoods in there, it's going to burn hotter and faster, and if you've got hardwoods, obviously it slows down and gives a slightly more even burn. Now the idea of a gasifier is quite simple. What it does, it burns from the top down. All the gases in the fire get drawn out through the bottom, run up between two walls, the inner wall, the outer wall, where they become superheated by the fire, and then as they get to the top, they're vented back in, and as they're vented back in over the fire, because they're superheated, they ignite. So what you're actually doing really is double burning the gases, which makes a clean burn. Now these will smoke when you first light them, like any fire. Once they get up to temperature, they should burn clean. So I've got gasifier stoves. Here, there are many types. These are the two that I use more commonly than not. And as you see, I've got two new ones there. So let's go with my oldest gasifier stove. So as you see, it packs down quite small. Okay, and it's fairly light. It's mainly stainless steel. Now quite often what I'll do is I'll put a bag of pellet inside there, so I'm carrying fuel source. If I'm just going out for an afternoon, I'm carrying a fuel source and all the kit with me. Alright, and how the gasifier goes together is quite simple. That is your base ring, okay, so that sits on the ground. Then inside you have a ring here which has a double wall. You can see the double wall there, so there's a gap there which rises to these holes here and is sealed around the top. Now what happens is your fire pot slips into the centre there, and do excuse mine, with a bit of age and that, it's got a little bit crusty. So there you go, fire pot sits in there. So basically your material's burning here, and because of the design, the way it's designed, it actually draws down. Okay, it draws the gases down towards the bottom, recirculates them up through this wall, they become superheated, and when they come out of these vents there, they burn. Okay, it's an old system, it works well, and again, it's been a way of producing gas from wood for years. And then you've got your top ring, which you place on like that, and obviously your pots and pans go on there. Now the pros are they're not affected by wind, because there isn't that much input from the wind on the outside. They're fairly well protected from rain, because obviously once you've got your pot on the top, it could be a self-sustaining system. They're quite stable. They're relatively light, if maybe a little bit bulky to carry, but let's face it, that's no bigger than a normal pot or pan. That's their pros, and they burn hot and efficient. Their cons: okay, they have a nasty habit of generating a huge amount of heat here, because the gases are recirculated through the base. If you have them on a surface that is flammable, you're going to burn it. If you have them on something like plastic tabletops, you have them on the ground, you've got to be aware that the ground underneath it is going to get very, very hot, because the heat travel, unlike any other fire, the heat's travelling down before coming back up. So again, you have to be a little bit aware of that. The other type that you quite commonly see is this type. So again, base ring with your air holes at the bottom. Okay, this then slots through there. So again, you can see where your gases are pulled out through the bottom, recirculate up, come through there. Sits on the top like that. And this one has that. Now, this is bonus with this one is you can constantly keep feeding it through here. You don't have to lift anything off. Okay. But I will say, although it's a good little stove, it's not quite as efficient as that one. That's a bit more of a self-contained unit. The only nightmare with that is you have to lift things off, put them on. But I normally find a handful of pellet is going to boil my pot, my can quite easily and do what I need it to do. So, before we go outside and try it, how did I improvise? Well, I've never done this before, so all I've done, to be honest with you, is I've looked at the design of these and for the last couple of days kept some bean tins back, or tins back. So what I looked for one tin that would fit inside another tin and leave a little bit of a gap around it. I realised that these tins were both exactly the same height, so what I wanted to do is draw air in the bottom. I wanted to come through the bottom of that. Puzzled over it for a minute or two, then realised that if I was very careful I could cut the top off of that can. There we go. So cut the top off of that can and spaced it out with some teeth so we can get some airflow. I've made some holes in the bottom of this can, and I also dropped the lid off of this can down on the inside so that it's going to create a little bit of more of a thermal barrier for me. Now, this can is plastic coated. I am going to get smoke off it, I know it, but I'm going to be doing this outside, and it's just an experiment to see if I could improvise it. Now obviously one of the things you've got to be really careful about doing this is they are sharp. Okay, there's no two ways about it. That's a lot of sharp metal in there, so again, be careful when you're cutting things like tins and that. They're like razors. What I also did was I spaced the flaps out on that piece that I'm pushing down inside there, and I created gaps in it so that I got the airflow. I also created some feet in it, and those feet are actually going to give me my spacing down here so the air gets drawn in definitely along the bottom. Then in theory the gas gets drawn down through that and goes up the sides, and then that is going to sit on top. Now a bit of pressure, set everything in place, and that will basically be my improvised gasifier stove. Okay, that will be an effort. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if it works. Am I lucky enough? Oh yeah. So we can set that on top, put a pan on top of that, and boil some water. Now I'm not obviously not expecting this to be anywhere near as efficient as one of these, okay, but it's just a could you. It's a could you idea, and you could scale it up, bigger cans, reduce it down, smaller cans, and I'm pretty sure there's some of you out there that have already done this, already figured it out, and know whether or not it works. But anyhow, let's go outside and have a look. So let's have a look at it. Right, first of all, so my little kettle, which I'm going to put onto my improvised stove system. But what we'll set up first is my standardised system, which I made a new bag for the other day. Made one of my world famous trouser leg bags with a draw cord, so that basically inside this kit I have my kettle, my wood pellet and my stove, all in one, plus any tinder, lighting materials and that I might need. So if I'm going out for the day, there's a nice little all-in-one kit that covers everything I need. As you can see, I'm using a baking tray as a base so that I don't burn anything, singe anything, because as we all know I've done that a couple of times in the past. So we start off, there's our base, that's our ring on the base. And then what we do, put our fire pot in place, sit that on the ring, make sure it's down nice and even, get our top cover. Now the pellet I'm using is a hardwood pellet, and it is actually a litter tray pellet. So what I tend to find, if you buy your pellet for this sort of thing and you buy it as, say, a pizza oven pellet, although it's pretty much the same thing, they charge you an extra £5. If you buy it as a kitty litter, it costs you a little bit less. So what I tend to do, I'm just going to use these fibre lighters, and what I do is I sink that a little bit into the pellet, not a huge amount as you can see, but just into the pellet a little bit, okay? And then we'll take our fire lighting system, and we're using today the Forest Fundamental Stealth because I likes it, because it's good and it does what I like and it's fun and it makes a decent match. So we'll fluff up the fibres on the end of that, and that's all you got to do, is fluff up the fibres, loosen the fibres at the end of your match, pull your match through, place that on there, take the striker, a little bit high, let's put it down a little bit more, fluff it up a little bit more. Ooh, it's drizzling out here today. There we go. Use the match to light me firelighter, pull that in there, blow it out. Done dusted for the minute with that. Place that on top of that. Let's go to my little pot. Open my pot up, take my cup out. Got my brew in it, got my spoon. Let's place that on top of that. Just place some water in it. And we'll go for 500 mils. 500 mils of water. And just because Owen likes me to do it, it is now 13:21 precisely at the time I lit the little gasifier standard stove. Now let's have a look at my improvised one. So as you see, this is a lot smaller, okay? It's going to be possibly not as efficient. I've never done this before, so I have no idea how well this will or will not work. Now I can already see one problem with my design, and that's getting it equally spaced. But hey ho, these things are sent to try us. Let's put a bit more pellet in there. Now I'm going to put as much pellet in there. A little bit more. I'm going to put so much pellet in there, purely simply because it's a lot smaller stove. I'm going to break the blocks up in there. Let's give it 3 blocks. Let's give it a good effort. Fluff that up again. Put that out. Thank you, Forest Fundamentals, for much fun with that little system. And improvised from one of my other stoves. We'll take a little cross piece. About 500 mils of water into that little kettle. And we'll set that little kettle up on there. Now, and we'll let those run. Now, the firelighters are producing a little bit of smoke as they get going, but then you're not going to expect much more than that. Whatever lighting source you're going to use might create a little bit of smoke. Once it gets going, we should be fine and dandy. Right, I'll bring you right back. Well, that's a bit of a surprise, a bit of a shocker. So 1329, yeah, that one's boiling. 500 mils to a boil in no time at all. And the gasification stove is working a treat. And as you can see in there, it's doing exactly what it says. You can see where the gas is coming back up through those side walls and venting through and creating quite an intense flame with no smoke. So I'm happy with that. The little kettle is just starting to steam and come to a boil. We're not really getting any gasification out of that as yet, but still, as an improvised stove, it works, doesn't it? It's boiling the water for me, which is really what the priority would be. So let's go with a Lyons Bailey's cappuccino, because why the hell not? It's nearly Christmas and it contains no alcohol, but I can pretend. So I'm going to leave both these running until there is no fuel in there, and then we'll have an idea of how efficient it is and how long it will run for. So again, I will bring you back once this starts to boil, or once I get some gasification off of it. And it's not far off boiling now, to be honest with you. There we go. So 132. That little kettle's boiling. Are we getting gasification off of it? No. So, oh no, maybe just, yeah, we are. We're getting just a little bit of gasification off it. I can see where the flames are drawing through the holes on the side. So we are actually getting gasification, and it's burning clean. Maybe not to quite the brilliance of the other one, but it is definitely working as a gasifier. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see where the flames are drawing in from the holes all the way around there. No smoke off the pellet. Absolutely brilliant. So yes, you can make your own gasifier. It's not going to be good as the bought one, but yeah, it worked. It boiled water. It's made me a brew. It's providing heat, light, warmth, all that good stuff that you require. And as we can see, the gasification on this one is quite intense. It works very, very well. In actual fact, let's see if I can, using my tongs of power, there we go. You can see how that works. And you can see how the flame is coming from the top, not off the pellet. The pellet is glowing red as the gases are drawn down through it. Yeah. And the same thing in that one. Yeah. Yeah. Works. Happy days. A success. And again, gasifiers. So let's see how long they'll burn for. Say to me, why gasifiers, Mickey? Why do you love gasifiers so much? What is it about them? Well, I'll be honest with you guys. It's pretty. Look at that. It's pretty. And it's safe. Okay? There's no sparks. There's no real smoke. Okay? There's not a lot in the way of giveaways, but light. And the nice thing about it is, it gives me something to sit and watch. It is a watchy fire. It is just something to sit back and enjoy the glow, the flame and the light. And if you're in an environment where you are concerned about fire, as long as you make sure the basis is going to be safe, there's not a lot to go wrong if you're using wood pellet. Twigs, slightly different, but with the wood pellet it makes a nice controlled burn. As you see, it's been fairly even on both of these all the way through so far, so it's a steady regulated burn, and I love that. So we're at 1344. Now, this is an interesting thing. See, the produced pellet stove is now dying down. As you see, it's stopped gasifying. You've still got a lovely bed of coals there that I guarantee you could cook on. And the little homemade improvised one is still burning away like a good one. And if anything, it's starting to jet really nicely. So maybe it's the amount of wood pellet that I've had in there that makes a difference. But that's still burning away quite nicely. Quite impressed with that. Obviously what it is, it's because it's a smaller area, taller cylinder. It's taken a little bit longer for the pellet to burn down. But we're definitely getting gasification. Absolutely a win. Guys, come on. Show me yours. Go out there, make better ones than me. Show me how you can improve on this. Show me what you can come up with. I'll be fascinated to see. And again, it's one of those things in my recovery over the next few weeks, maybe a month or so, it's going to really make me smile to see other people do it. Yeah, so get out there, have a go. Okay, even if you haven't got a channel, send me a photograph. Send me an email. Mickey, look, I had to go, I made one. It's great fun. Great fun. So, there we go. Gasification. Don't we just love it? Yeah. There we go. Bring it back again. So, there we go. 10:50. 10:50 hours. And as we see, just a bed of coals there. A bed of coals there. The flames died off. That will still provide you heat. You can grill over it, whatever you needed to, or you could just now put your more fuel sources on there, re-energise the fire and get it going again. Absolutely brilliant. A win. Happy days. Mick's a happy bunny. Yeah, this is the video on gasification. So there we have it, guys. Gasification. I really enjoy using a gasifier stove. One of the reasons, as I've said before, I enjoy it is because it's quite a safe system to use. It's stable. It's fairly lightweight to carry, and again, if you carry the resources out with you and you're on a day trip, especially this time of year, it does give off a lot of heat. So it's something that will warm yourself as well. And maybe if you're somewhere that you don't want to start creating a stick fire, making an open fire and that, you might be in an environment where you can't. As long as you bring something that sit it on, and quite often what I use is literally like a little paint tin lid that I'll turn upside down, sit that on it, run it. It takes up no space, no weight. I'm not marking the ground, I'm not burning anything. But the nice thing is, it's giving me a bit of heat. It's a pretty flame to look at, which, yeah, we all spent time staring into fires. It'll make your brew, cook your scoff, whatever you need it to do. Yeah, that's what I like gasifiers. It's just another tool to your box. And again, improvising a gasifier. Have a go, guys. You know, if you don't explore these things, try them out. You never know. And again, that I wasn't expecting the success with that. That was just something I literally chucked together in about 15-20 minutes. I took no real time and effort at it. It was a quick improvised, and a handful of pellet burnt for a good 10 minutes longer in that than it did in the other stove. So if it was a survival situation, yeah, I could have made even more brew, provided even more heat, used less fuel. Brilliant. Brilliant. It's a win. It's a win. It's a win. So whether you use this for camping, prepping, hiking, climbing, whatever method you want to do, have fun with it. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors Survival. Get outdoors, have an adventure. Even if, like me at the moment, you're restricted to just sitting in your garden and doing there, do something, have some fun with it, okay? And have a brilliant Christmas, because this will be out over the Christmas week. So I hope you're having a fantastic Christmas. I'll be recovering at the moment, and I will catch you all on Sunday night on the Sunday Night Social. Come along, join me, see how I'm getting on, have a giggle at the old boy. But other than that, Love those you do, forgive those you don't, and in this festive season, joy, peace and light be upon you all. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival, wishing you a very, very Merry Christmas and a fantastic New Year. Mickey out.